and what we drink and what we breathe in the air is harming our people. And nobody is taking it on because there's too much money involved.
So it's back to the dollar is what you're saying.
Back to the dollars, back to the money. Okay. Money for the corporations and money for the healthcare industry.
You know, the reason that Justice Brandeis is important is that Brandeis's warning took place in a case called Liggett versus Lee in 1933, when Florida, the state of Florida, was trying to control large corporations coming in to Florida. Brandeis said these states have an obligation to keep business from having to compete with these huge monster corporations. Well, sadly, each year the corporations have been given more and more power. Now they not only are considered people, but they can put all of the resources they want into financing the public sector, the races for Senate, Assembly, you know, and so the result is that there is one conceivable remedy. It doesn't. I mean, there's only one remedy that can take them down, and that is the civil emergency provision in the United States Constitution, the domestic violence clause. And the reason that it can take them down is that we have to look at ourselves as though this is wartime. Wartime. That provision contains wartime powers to be used in peacetime so that we can survive. And we are in the 11th hour. Survival, absolutely, survival is in question. Betty talked about hormones in the meat supply. Well, we're putting hormones in meat, milk, growth hormones, and when a child experiences puberty at age 5, that messes up the cycle that allows for a maturation of learning. A lot of kids are behind in terms of being able to think clearly because the normal cycle of growth and maturation was interrupted, and when those things are interrupted, then children and adults, they become adults, will have difficulty with thought processes, impulse control, and that's what's happening now. It's got to be done. These people here, Occupy people, all over the country and all over the world understand that it's got to be done now. And I'm standing here with Betty, and the benefit that we have for something like this is that we remember.
Simpler time, a different time.
We have life experiences that many of these young people don't have, but when someone drives by in a car and hollers, get a job, what is it they don't realize is most of these people either have a job or are retired and are quite comfortable, many of us, but we see the damage done to our country and we just cannot stand by any longer.
It's like Jackie said earlier, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
And one thing has to be said. I remember the end of the Second World War. I was a little kid, and I remember when Japan was defeated, and that was a time when the United Nations came into existence. It was a golden moment. It was a golden moment when, on the Republican side, Wendell Willkie, who wrote a book called One World, said that everyone should live together. On the Republican side, it didn't matter if you had a different system of economics. It didn't matter if you were different religiously. It was one world, and people could begin to live together. On the Democratic side, the man who said that was Henry Wallace. And we would have had a different world now if Henry Wallace and Wendell Willkie could have shaped it. Instead, the corporations dominated, and all of a sudden we found that we couldn't live in a world where there were communist countries, and so we've been at war ever since 1945 till now. continuous warfare. That has to be stopped. Using the domestic violence clause, using the power of that clause, the military can be congratulated for everything that they've done on our behalf, but the military now has to be taken home. 900 or 1,000 military bases across the world have to be dismantled, and we have to find a way to peace. Now, and these people can do it.
And that's Article 4?
Article 4, Section 4.
Article 4, Section 4.
I wrote a book on it. I'd love to give you a copy of the
I'd
book.
enjoy reading that. Thank you.
Just let me know where I can drop it off, or
Somewhere I got a card.
by the way, if you Google either domestic violence clause or better Google domestic violence clause, you'll come up with a number of essays and book reviews. If you add
Google's fascinating. For something that didn't exist a few years ago, the world's at your fingertips. Mike, I'm going to be back when it's hard to find you. I do look forward to reading that.
Okay.
I am finding this a fascinating journey for myself. Some of the most intelligent conversations I have had have come from youth of all ages. Forward-thinking people, and I thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.